Hello, welcome back to another Artist Spotlight, and today I will be talking about Mayerick. Not a very well-known name, but an artist that deserves a spotlight because he is absolutely fantastic. Here I have one of his earliest work. I believe this is his second or third work at Marvel. Supernatural Thriller Issue 2. Great cover right there, and then we dive right into it. In his earlier work, he was often inked by somebody else. Not everything turned out great. As I go through this video, hopefully you will see that Val is another one of those great artists that is his own best inker. Here, he was teamed up with the great Dan Atkins. Okay, so Dan Atkins did the layout here. Beautiful. Okay, this is, you can definitely see the detailed, clean lines that Dan Atkins is known for. Okay, very clean, sharp lines. He did the layout. And inking, so I'm not sure how much credit you can give to Val at this point of his career. Okay, since I'm fairly familiar with Dan Atkins' style of penciling, I can see that in some panels I can see that it resembles a lot like it's all Dan Atkins. And in some, like for this, for example, this is a very typical face that you will see in a Dan Atkins kind of penciling and inking. Regardless, I think the final result looked great. I'm not going to show this entire book, but I just want to give you a little taste of what Val work looked like with Dan Atkins in the beginning, because as you see a few years later when the two team up again, the final result is a lot different. Okay, a lot, where Val exert more of his penciling and Dan Atkins did I would say a masterful job in inking, because he let Val's style shines. Okay, so what's great about this story is there was a reprint a few years later in this magazine. Okay, this one. Look at that. Master of Terror. It was reprinted in here, and this time you can see the cover is drawn by Dan Atkins himself. The original cover, of course, is drawn by the great Jim Steranko. Okay, and here is a reprint of the entire story in black and white, and it looks so beautiful. Okay, it's one of those, another one of the examples where if you're a fan of black and white, you can't help it but think that this story looks so great in black and white. The horror genre tone just come across much better in black and white. It just fits. I'm sure you have heard me harp on this point many times, but it's worth repeating. Okay, so as you can see, fantastic reproduction in black and white. Just fantastic. The lines, the sheen just seem to be sharper. Okay, just look at that. That's beautiful. Here is one panel where I will point out look at this panel. This right here is a lot of Val in there. Okay, as I go through this video and another maybe second video on Val on the spotlight, you will see that his style will become more recognizable as you go through and watch the video. Just like this. Okay, this resemble more of like a Bernie Wrightson style of face. Okay, so done with that. And then before I jump to this incredible issue, before we go there, let's look at this. He also did a bunch of Man-Thing, the early issues of Man-Thing. The only thing about this run with Val is that the inking was not to my liking. Here you have the great cover by Frank Bruner, and if you look at the art inside, it's definitely not very good in my opinion, because I think the inker here, Sal, just, you know, it was not a right match. For those that watch my spotlight video, I'm sure you have heard me saying that having the wrong inker on a penciler can really change the way the final product looked. You can see right here. There's a lot of little details in the way Val drew that is missing with this inking. Okay, missing. As I go through this video, you will see Val's style of penciling is very detailed. Here you have appearance by Howard the Duck. The first time I flipped through this book, I thought it was Mike Plug, because for those that are familiar with Mike Plug, that's another artist where when it was inked by somebody else, the final result looked a lot like this. And I didn't really like it. I like Mike Plug a lot, but mostly only when he does the inking himself, as I have mentioned in his spotlight. Okay, we don't need to go through this entire book, but you get an idea. You have a good idea now of what his end product looked like with other inkers. Now let's jump to this gorgeous Neal Adams Legion of Monster issue 1. Look at that. I'm a huge fan of Neal Adams covers for magazine because I think it is superior to many of his comic books, but that's just my biased opinion. Okay, you have this great inside pin-up. Look at that, that's beautiful, by the great Pablo Marcos. Okay, here you have once again Val and Dan Atkins as well as Pablo inking, and here you start to see his style taking shape a lot closer to what I would consider a Bernie Wrightson clone. Just look at that. A lot of beautiful details on the house, the castle, the mansion. Just look at this. What do you think? Right there, that's resemble a lot of the way Bernie Wrightson draw. Beautiful touches, look at that. How about this panel right here? The first time I flipped through this book, it was long before I was aware of Val. I had to do a double take because, at first glance, I thought maybe this was Bernie Wrightson. Just look at that. Look, it's Spock. I just love the way the faces of Frankenstein. Last 2 pages. Hopefully I'm not going too slow or too fast. It's always a fine line of trying to show everything without dragging the video too far, too long. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Let's do one more. Let's squeeze one more in. Here I have issue 18 of Frankenstein, the last issue. The last, and this is one of the rare occasions where he teamed up with Bernie Wrightson himself, the master. It is signed right there. Just look at this beautiful cover. I think if you show this to a collector that are not familiar with Val, they would have think that this is a Bernie Wrightson cover all the way. Gorgeous copy. And in this issue, Val did all the work himself as far as inking and penciling. And just look at the beautiful details. It would have looked much better in black and white, in my opinion. Much better. Just look at the faces. Look at that. That scream Bernie Wrightson right there, right? Unless I'm crazy, which can be. I'm sure not everyone will agree with me that his style resembles Bernie Wrightson. I'm sure. I can't expect everyone to agree with what my eyes are seeing. But just look at the beautiful details on the tree. I'm not sure if this story have been reprinted in black and white magazine. I haven't looked. If it was reprint, I would love to get that copy because I think it would look marvelous in black and white format. Just look at that. I don't think there is any mentioning of this is the last issue. Great panels right there. So that's great. There you go. I just love the sequence right here. We are near the end, folks. If you stayed this long, thank you. I hope you have enjoyed this artist spotlight video on Val Mayerick, and there will be a second part. I pull out a bunch of magazine that I think will be too long to include it in this video, so there will be a second part to the Val Mayerick spotlight. That's it. We are last two page. Beautiful. And right there, next issue. Well, sorry, cancel. Anyhow, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.